So welcome to Mentor Talks. I'm Tatya, CEO and co-founder of Upnotch. Upnotch is a business mentorship platform for executives and entrepreneurs. We bring together industry leaders and like-minded individuals to help share knowledge through one-on-one mentorships or through these talks. If you want to grow your career or your business, feel free to sign up at Upnotch by downloading the app at Google Play or at the App Store.
Well, hi, Brynn. How are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
Doing very well. Let's jump right in. Tell me a little bit about you and BXE and how you kind of got into all this.
So I founded BXC Creative with a partner in college because we were interested in working with small businesses and taking them from basically the very beginning where they have nothing built out to the end where they have social media, website, and marketing all built out for them. So that's the services that we've been doing. And then I work on the side as a full-time developer. So been doing a lot of different things, but one of the things that I specialize in the most is helping our clients start their social media journeys. And then what about you? What are you doing these days?
Right now, it is strictly consulting with primarily startups because, as you know, there's a lot of confusion around online marketing and digital marketing, and it seems like every day is something new. I kind of have an advantage. I started when I was 13 with website design, and I watched as the industry kind of grew into search engine optimization and the need for that, and then social media came along. And I just watched a lot of companies struggling with how do you tie all of that together? How do you use your website to influence the search engines? How do you use social media? And we keep coming back to the idea of quality content. And I think it's great that you and I are able to talk because you do specialize in content and creating that. I think we can dive in and just answer questions about what content needs to be and how people can best use it.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the roadblocks or the preconceptions that your clients are coming to you with, and how are you addressing that?
So right now I work with a lot of e-commerce companies, mostly, like I said, small businesses and B2C. And the thing that I've seen with my clients that comes up a lot is that they don't really know how to get started. They might have already made their social media accounts, but there's sort of this concept that you need to be a photographer or a great writer or have those like design skills in order to be successful at social media. I often get asked, do I need a fancy camera? Like questions like that. And I think that's one of the biggest roadblocks that I've seen is people just really don't believe that they have the skills to be successful in social media. And where I come in and what I would like to tell people and teach people is that they can do that without the fancy gear, without a marketing degree. They can definitely be successful. I think another thing that I also see with people starting out is that they don't get the immediate results that they want. And then they think they're doing terribly and kind of drop all of the progress that they've made because they're not seeing results. So I'm not sure if that's something that you've seen when you work with clients, but those are some things that I see at the very beginning.
Yeah, that touches on what I've experienced. A lot of my clients feel like they need to be everywhere all the time, doing everything. And I want to encourage them that you don't need to be everywhere. Find the place that you're comfortable with. If that's Facebook, if that's Instagram, if that's LinkedIn, be where your customers are, certainly, but you don't need to be everywhere. You don't need to have a TikTok account if you are a doctor's office, if that's not your ideal client. And I think there's a lot of pressure for folks. They hear about something new, they want to take advantage of that. And so they feel like they have to be creating all of this content, publishing all of it out. And that just leads to burnout. And I like what you said about not having the latest and greatest and $20,000 camera to take photos. If you have an iPhone, like you have such a powerful camera that you can really manage an entire marketing campaign just on your smartphone. I think the barriers of entry have really come down for a lot of people right now. It's very easy to get started.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Another thing I've noticed is a lot of people don't know what to post or they don't know what to say. to people or to their customers without it sounding so much like an ad or an infomercial or something like that. And so that's like a big challenge, especially with some of my older clients that are used to that type of marketing that was very popular when they were, starting their business, but now has changed a little bit. So that's one of the things that I like to encourage people to do, to be more comfortable being familiar and personable, even though you're a brand.
One thing I liked when we were talking earlier is you talked about kind of the difference in generational advertising and how a lot of ads really felt like ads. They were very pushy and very salesy. And with social media, it really lends itself well to a brand's personality standing out. And I think companies need to be taking advantage of that. There's so much competition that the brand needs to have their voice, and that's what sets them apart. What have you experienced with that?
Yeah, so I did a lot of research, especially about Gen Z and how Gen Z factors into marketing, especially as they're getting older and will be pretty much the primary customers for a lot of people. And what we see like with Gen Z is they expect brands to have a presence pretty much, especially if it's a big brand, across the board. They don't necessarily need to have the same content going out, but just to have a message that continues across multiple social media, like Twitter, Instagram, email. And you see that they relate more to brands that relate to them in personality, that have beliefs and have values that are similar to them. And so it's really important now for brands to communicate what their values are and what they believe in, rather than just what their product is, because people are buying more into who they are now than ever before.
Yeah, I like that, because that is it's not only good, it's goodwill, and we're able to align our beliefs with the companies that we're spending our money with. But I view that as also a differentiator in competition, because not everybody can be you. So with your agency, you have a voice, and you have this purpose, and you have the mission, and you have the core values, the things that you stand for, and nobody else can be exactly that. On top of that, you deliver these results, and on top of that, you have this product. I like I don't eat at Wendy's, but I like following them on Twitter because they are hilarious, and they are creating this persona in everyone's mind based on what they're posting on Twitter that gives you a good feeling of what to expect when you go there. And Panera Bread is very consistent in their visuals, in their wording, in the language they use, and the colors they use, but they share a slightly different message on all of the different platforms. If you get an email, it's pretty formal, but if you're following them on social media, it's much more relaxed. And so I think that's something that the brands can really take advantage of. Show your personality, but remain consistent with your messaging and your mission.
And so what do you think some of the best practices are, for people once they get started with social media?
First, don't overthink it. Second, take a deep breath. Know that you don't have to be everywhere all the time. And third, remember you can reuse your content. So I'm a big proponent in putting content on your blog first. So people are always using your website as your hub. And then everything else that you do, consider that to be like a spoke in the wheel. If you are only posting your stuff on Facebook, be ready for Facebook to pull the rug out from under you, but your website's never going away. So maintain your website as the hub, because it is the place on the internet that you have full control of. And with that, as you know, there's a lot of work that goes into creating content, especially the written content. Don't be afraid to share that more than once. Take different sentences or quotes out of your blog and reshare that over time. Share it the same day you post it. Share it the next day. Share it a week or a month later or a year later, because a lot of the content we're sharing, it will live on, it ages well, and the people who follow you on social media they're not always going to see what you post. So if somebody's following you today, you can expect that your followers will change and evolve. Social media algorithms change and evolve. So continue to share your content over time, because we call it evergreen content. And that's content that's going to live on, that will age well, that you can read a year from now and it will still be actionable advice. It's still your own words. And your social media following changes. They should see the content that you're publishing.
Yeah, I really like that. I like your point about not relying on a platform that you don't own, because I actually did do that early on. I had a big group on Facebook and it ended up getting deleted and I've never gotten it back, and I really wish I collected emails. So it's always good to like rely on something that you can control. And I also think that I would add on for some of my best practices is it's really important to be consistent. I think posting regularly, and even having, once you get a little bit more, familiar with your social media, having segments that happen weekly or things that people can expect, like, oh, I know on this day I'm going to see this content and I'm going to seek it out because I like it. I think it's always great to be consistent. On the other hand, I think it's really great to diversify what you post, because I'm really big into testing. A lot of the things that I think work the best end up not actually working the best once I've done some testing, either of different content types, different visuals, different types of captions, different, feels and voices. Once you start testing that, you can see what people are responding to and really hone into what you want your business to be and see what is making you successful. And then I think one of the last things that I think is really important is you can't really get back from the community if you're not part of the community. So it's really important to be involved in your community and to also engage with other people on social media platforms that are relevant to your brand, because that's how you kind of get yourself out there and get a loyal following base.
Yeah, that's excellent. I know we are running up on our time. So we've covered a lot. If you could distill kind of the what's next, how do we simplify even more what we've been talking about into 1 or 2 or 3 points that somebody could walk away from and say, yep, I can do this today?
I think it's really important to just get started. There's no way to learn if you're not doing. And so even getting started, even if it's not perfect, even if the content is shot on your iPhone and that's something you're not comfortable with, it's just really good to start getting content out there, because once the content is out there, like you said, you can reuse it, you can reframe it in different ways, but it needs to be there to start. And then if someone was going to start today, I would tell them to really think about what you want your brand to say. Like if you could make a character or a persona for your brand, who would they be? And feel free to share that with anyone who's touching social media content, any sort of thing that is surrounding your brand's image, just so that you can start having that consistent voice and people know who you are and what your values are.
I like that. I like that a lot. For me, I would say, like you, don't be afraid to get started. I set a reminder on my phone. It just says write something. And sometimes that's all it takes, is just that little nudge. Say, okay, I can do this. I can sit down, even if it's 1 sentence or 2 sentences, or snapping a photo or posting on the socials. It's just something. And I think something we get a little bit afraid of posting something, but don't be afraid. It's very hard to mess it up. Post something and then continue to reshare the content that you've spent a lot of time and effort posting, because over time you'll have a great library of content that people deserve to see.
It's great chatting with you, and hopefully we've helped a few people get started with social media and making better content.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Brynn.
Thank you.